Do you remember this? The Walkman and the revisit video, and now this is the revisit video. But look, we have success. Play, right way round, let's hit the auto reverse, ready? There we go. So now, I didn't film it all, I just filmed the actual problem. So let me show you that now, and then I'll show you this working at the very end. Okay, so I've been working on this for most of today. Again, I've really become quite obsessed with this one now, but I've really enjoyed looking through that schematic and working it around. And what's amazing is, when you look at the schematic, it might have like a component next to each other, but when you actually look at the kind of board view, or whatever you call it, you find out that they're nowhere near each other. So it's like trying to hunt the capacitor and hunt the resistor. But I'm really enjoying this. It's strange. I think it's because I feel on this one that I am actually starting to learn something, which is really good. Now it's still not working. I've done loads. Basically, I suspected this ribbon cable here because when I was moving it around the place, moving it onto the connectors straight onto the board. So basically, what happened is the connector itself has come off the board. So if you look on this bit here, let me just zoom in a bit. The connector came off, so I was kind of rubbing the ribbon cable against here, and what happened was all of a sudden the auto reverse started to work, and I found out that if I took pin 4, let me just double check this, if I took if I hit pin 5 against pin 4, the auto reverse started to work. So the problem with that was, though, it didn't display anything on the front. So you know the little LCD at the front? It wasn't displaying anything. So then I sort of thought to myself, a bit of a wild goose chase, but I thought, is it because it's displaying incorrectly that it's not going on here correctly? But I've been tracing and at long last I found something. Now, I don't know if this is to do with it or not, but I haven't been getting any power, so I've read every single comment, and I've been testing for different voltages. For example, on KO and K2, I've been looking for 2.4 volts, and then on pin 17, I've been looking for voltage. I've been going down these various double transistors looking for voltage. I've done everything that the comments said, and I've been tracing the things round via the vias because I'm not getting voltage anywhere where I think I should be. And eventually I've long last found something. I couldn't trace one of the tracks because it was going under this Dolby switch. So if you have a look here, you can see that there's a Dolby on and off switch. And when I've taken it off now, so basically I traced from a via going in to a track near the Dolby switch, but I knew it wasn't for the Dolby switch because there was nothing coming up on the contacts, but it was sort of just using the board underneath it, but I couldn't find anything coming out, so I unsoldered it and I found a tiny bit of corrosion. So that's why I'm recording this part of the video, because maybe this is the problem. So let me zoom in and show you. Right, even zoomed in it's really hard to see, but can you see this tiny bit of corrosion here? This little bit here. And that's where the track is no longer. So if you have a look at this, where is it now? Right, so I'm going to go from here. You can see I've kind of well mauled it. It's actually a nice little hole now. And then I've got my meter on continuity. So when I touch the wires together, it goes off. And watch this now. If I go down to here, I was tracing it all the way around. I had it going up in between the switches, but it wasn't coming out of the switches. Now watch this. So in between the switches here, moves along here, you can see it just underneath the white mask. Here, you can hear it, but now look, goes across here and you can't hear it here. So there's a break between here and here. And I believe this is to do with that B+, you know, the power. So I'm going to jumper between here and here, and I'm wondering then, oh no, not from there, I might just jumper from here. I might just go from, hold on, does this go to here? Let's just see. Sorry, as soon as I did this, I got the video camera out. Yeah, so I'm going to jumper from here to the via over here, and then, because I can't see it going anywhere else, I'm going to double check, and then I'm going to put it back together. I also need to resolder on this ribbon cable connector, because it fell off, and we'll see what happens. Now, the chances of me getting working are quite slim, because it's kind of in pieces now, and the ribbon cable connectors come off and stuff, and everything's looking in a bit of a sorry state. But if I can prove the fault, that will mean more to me than having a working Walkman at the end of it. So I'm going to get back to this filming when I've done a bit more work. Right, so what I've done is I've just put a tiny bit of jumper wire in there just to bridge the gap. The gap was only about, I don't know, 2 millimeters or something like that. But if you listen now, It goes from this one up here all the way to here, and it's not shorting on the other ones either, so that's good. So that's back to how it should be. What I'm going to do now is, I've got this little UV mask, you know, to get the kind of cover back on it. So I haven't got brown, but I've got green. I'm sure it makes no difference whatsoever. It's only a very cheap one from eBay. It was only a few pound. I'm just going to put a blob on it there. I believe you can use nail varnish as well. Or I was thinking I could even put a bit of Captain tape over there to insulate it, because this switch now will be going on top. So I don't want any of these contacts off the switch, the Dolby switch, to short out on them. So that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, so I've just spread it on there. It's gone on very thinly. I'm not sure how thick you should put it on. So, because I'm not really used to it, I'm going to also put a bit of Captain tape over it once it's dried. And then I can solder this back on. And then once I've soldered that back on, I can have the fun job of trying to get this little ribbon cable connector back on. Right, okay, I got bored of waiting for that UV mask thing to dry. So what I've done is I've wiped it off. And I've just put Captain tape on because I think it's going to be a better job anyway. So I've just put Captain tape along there. And also I've soldered on this connector here. And it's actually gone pretty well. So I just sort of filled up the pads with a bit of solder, put it on, got a nice blob there and there with like the sort of ground pads. And then I just rubbed it across here, and then I got extra bits of solder and just went across. So now all I have to do is put this switch on back here and then put it all back together and see what's happening with it. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap these three components back. I'm going to leave the double transistor because that is exactly the same as this. But as it's been pointed out to me on the comments, this small little black one here is completely different than this small black one here. They do different things. So I'm going to swap them over. I'm going to leave the resistor because that is the same, and I'm going to change back the capacitor. This one here with, from memory, it was this one here, and then it's going to be all back to normal. Okay, so here we go. Let me show you it working. I'm so happy with this one. So if you have a listen.
Offered a package deal.
And now if I do auto reverse. Ready?
They'd have their own cork.
Oh, well. We'll have to see. I think you're amazing.
And back again.
Package deal. They'd go out
and back again.
To see. I think you're amazing, Chris.
You don't know how many times I've done this. I'm so happy. So happy. I've never pressed auto reverse so much.
They'd go out as free.
That way round.
Surfs.
And the opposite
we'll
way.
Have to see. I think you're amazing, Chris.
And also the fast forward and rewind is also working correctly now. Look at that one. And back the other way. And lastly, the radio. I'm inside, so it's going to be really bad. But let me just show you. Right, so that's that one. That's one, and different bands. There we go. I better turn that off. So that is so good.
Every time I come here.
There's always a shortage of manpower.
Every time I come here. I can't be.
There was always a shortage of manpower.
Now, I know it was a novelty to have it playing backwards, but after putting so much work into it, and more importantly, after all you lot have put so much work into it. Now, I know I haven't showed the names on this one, but believe you me, I have gone through every single comment up until earlier on today, and I have done everything that was suggested in there, and eventually I got it to work. So it did turn out to be just a broken trace, but what a sneaky one, hidden underneath that Dolby little switch there. And by the way, that is working as well.
So the kings of Jerusalem established new towns for settler farmers who were offered a package deal.
You're not going to hear the difference on talking like that. But yeah, so I've gone through everything, and it was so helpful because you see, this really was way beyond me. And although nobody pointed out the break in the thing because it was hidden, because people were telling me about the voltages, it made sense to me. So before, I didn't know how to read a schematic. I still don't know, but I know so much more now. I even know now that in a schematic, when there's two lines like this, that's a normal capacitor. Probably, well, it's a non-polarized one, so probably on this is going to be an SMD one, like surface mount. But then on the other ones, when it's a curve and a flat, that means it's going to be one of those electrolytic capacitors, you know, where it's positive and minus, so it makes a difference which way it goes round. So let's say if you thought that maybe those electrolytic caps, the big ones, were faulty, you can look at a schematic and you can find them really easy, because don't look for that, look for that. Now, I know that's obvious to so many people out there, but it wasn't obvious to me. And even what a resistor looked like in the diagram, and for example a diode, really good. Also that transistor there, double transistor, takes up less room in one package. So I've learnt lots. I've learnt about the base and the collector and the emitter. Again, don't fully understand it. I've also been told how to test in diode mode. Never used that before. So on this one here, I learnt so much, and that's why I enjoyed it so much. I hope I keep the knowledge that I've learnt from this and move on to the next one. Probably if I've learnt 10 things, 4 things might stick in my mind, but bit by bit, as I do more like this, eventually all 10 will stick in my mind, and then I can start to progress further. And also, it's lovely having the schematic because you can see the voltages, and that's what people told me to test. They told me to test on the ribbon cable going up to this front board here. I think it was KO and K2, and I didn't have any voltage there. So then you're thinking, well, hold on a minute, it can't be the front board, because at one stage I thought it was the front board. It was the fact that it wasn't getting enough power to that area there. So then I just traced it back from the original power switch. So down here somewhere, there's a little power switch that, first of all, when you press play like this, it joins the connection together. And I worked it through from there, measuring voltage. All around that area was measuring 2 point something volts. But yet when I went over to the bit where I did on the revisit video, that wasn't reading anything at all. And that's why it wasn't working. There was nothing wrong with the IC chip. There was nothing wrong with that double transistor. Hence the reason as well where I changed all the components back again, because there was nothing wrong with any of that. The fact is the voltage wasn't even getting that far because of the break in the board. Honestly, I loved doing this one, and apologies for this video being so short, and apologies for not showing you. It's just that I have been on this for hours and hours today, and there was no point in me filming it where I haven't got a clue what's going on, and that's why I filmed it where I first of all seen that there was a break in the board there, because then I knew a break in the track. I knew then that that had to be something faulty. I didn't know if it was going to fix it or not, but it wasn't supposed to be like that. So absolutely fantastic. So thanks so much for everyone that commented on this and helped me out on it. I know the Walkman was only £5 and probably now it's only worth £15 or £20. It was more the fact of seeing it work again, and not just that the auto reverse works, but now that it comes up there as well. To me, that's fantastic. Originally, this was my favourite Walkman, purely because as a kid I would have loved all these buttons on it. And now that I put so much work into it and it's working, it makes it even better. So if I do end up selling the others, for definite I will not be selling this one. So thanks so much for helping me out on it. Thanks so much for watching, and thanks for all the support. Big thumbs up to you all. Excellent. Take care. See you soon. Bye now.